Okay. All right, like Mr. Mackey, all right? Okay. Let's talk about this game. Um, First and foremost, I guess we'll talk about it as a whole. Team was quite awful in the first half, okay? Quite awful. I was praying to the heavens that the Spurs could at least keep it within 10 points going into the half. And I think we were down by maybe 12, 14. I don't remember. But too lazy to do the math here. But it was pretty bad. It felt as if the entire first half, it didn't feel like the Spurs had any control. It felt like Timberwolves controlled the pace. They controlled um, everything. I mean, they controlled everything. They were getting basically whatever they wanted. Our offense became stagnant. Timberwolves' really good defense started to show. And another thing that I expected, and I tweeted this out, is that I expect the Spurs to come into the third and play much better, right? Bring some nasty. And they definitely did that. They brought a lot of nasty into the third. So as far as coaching is concerned, I saw some people in the comments or in the chat here say like Mitch Johnson really dropped the ball. I think you guys are talking about in particular that last possession. But I think one thing to keep in mind is that the Timberwolves are a very good defensive team, right? Very good defensive team. So that's going to make things difficult in and of itself. But just overall, what I saw was I thought the Spurs lacked some energy. When Chris Paul talked about that lack of maturity, I think that it showed in this game. And honestly, the person I was most disappointed in was actually the best player on the court, and that was Wemby. It seemed as if when Wemby, I don't know what it is, but there were times in this game where I felt like it was a little bit of lack of effort. Um, Timberwolves commentators were really making me angry because they kept calling him a flopper because he's not a flopper. But there was a couple times where he did have to rely on that a little bit. He had to rely on a call, in order to try to make something happen. But there were plenty of times that were good from Victor, and there was plenty of times that were bad. He said, I think he's gassed. I have no idea. But one thing that I don't like at times, and this is just critiquing him because he's this great, right? Is it seems like when he's struggling or it's a little bit of lack of energy, sometimes it seems like he becomes a little bit more mopey. It seems like he settles for really bad shots. Defense just isn't there at all. If you're gassed, obviously it won't be there. But he just becomes a little bit more unorthodox in a bad way, you know, like a little out of control, a little sloppy with the ball. Moved off his spots way easier than when he is engaged. Because when we went into the third and even a big chunk of the fourth, I thought Victor was locked in, but man, it was frustrating that first half, and we desperately needed him because it was obvious that we were completely leaning on Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul, like completely leaning on them, which is not good whatsoever. Um, so there's that. So as far as like who to point the finger to, not to say it's all his fault because I thought the team as a whole, and we were talking about everybody, but I think the team as a whole was pretty bad. But Victor was one where we needed him to we needed him to step up. And in that fourth quarter, the amount of threes that he was taking was so unnecessary. It felt like threes of, okay, if I hit this three, we can get out of here. Okay, if I hit this three, we can get out of here. Okay, if I hit this three, and it's in timing is everything. And he took about three or four threes. Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but it felt like four threes in a row where I was just like, why do you keep taking these threes? Stop. And once he got to the paint, it was nice. Once he took a mid-range shot, it was nice. But I don't know why he kept doing that. So let's just go through the whole team. All right, we'll go through the whole team. Now, this is what I'm not going to accept. All right, everybody, and I know this is going to sound crazy because obviously the last possession was so bad, and plenty of people in the chat have already said this, and somebody even said yes, troll clan, and say that Sochan was awful. So Sochan's the first one on the list because he's the first right here, obviously. Um, Sochan was not bad. today. Okay, this was one of those games where, yes, things weren't really going down offensively, right? Quite a bit, struggling on the defensive end as far as fouls, not him struggling, but as far as fouls. But overall, this is the Sochan that kind of accustomed to. These are the type of games that we can expect from him. It's going to be plenty of games where Sochan doesn't really contribute much offensively. He's not that type of player. What? No, I'm being honest here. He's not that type of player. He's not somebody that we're definitely going to be able to lean on offensively. But as far as defensively, he did good. One thing that you can't say is you can't say that Sochan did poorly. He was trash today, but then also say Anthony Edwards was trash today, because oftentimes the Spurs has Sochan on Edwards. They had him on Sochan or on Edwards, and they also had to have him on Rudy Gobert. He was doing a lot defensively. It was a lot Sochan had to do off defensively. He did not have a bad game. Now we can say that offensively he didn't play well, which I agree. I mean, 2 for 8 is not good, right? 1 for 3 from 3 is not terrible, but it is what it is. But no, I won't sit here and say Sochan played poorly, right? I can't do that. I thought that defense was really good. It was a tough matchup, man. Jack, it's a tough matchup. You got Sochan guarding Anthony Edwards. You got him switching off to guard Rudy Gobert. It's a tough matchup. It was a tough matchup. I wonder how many offensive rebounds the Timberwolves got. We felt undersized the entire time, and you can tell Mitch Johnson, I don't want to say panic, that's a bad way of framing it, but he tried to play Bassey as much as he could. I mean, a few minutes, but he was like, let me try something. Let me look at their rebounds overall. Let's see, ours 41. Yeah, look at this. We have 41 rebounds to their 56. There was no room for Sochan to get rebounds. Rudy Gobert had 15 of them. It was just tough. 56 to 41. It was just tough. Like, this is one of those where you got to contextualize it. What, bro? I don't know why this is so difficult. You got to contextualize it. In this game, how difficult it was, and all of these different things you're asking Sochan to do defensively was pretty tough. Sochan did not have a bad game. You can never look at his stats and get the full picture. You got to actually just pay attention to what's going on. He did not have a bad game. For instance, you can look at, oh gosh, I know. People are going to hate this. But like statistic wise, you will look at the statistics here and say Sochan had a bad game. Keldon had a good game. No, he didn't. Keldon had a worse game. His defense was terrible. There were quite a few times that Timberwolves weren't able to take advantage of wide open shots that Keldon left for him. But Keldon had a worse game than Sochan. Statistically, you'll look at it and say, oh no, it looks like Keldon had 13 points, 6 rebounds. He played better. No, he didn't. No Keldon versus Sochan tonight. I'm not pinning them up against each other. I'm just saying, like, look, there's no one else I can really compare it to. Yeah, I can't really compare it to anybody else, because Chris Paul, I thought he did have a good game, even though, he only had 6 points or whatever. And obviously Harrison Barnes had a better game than Sochan. Man, tell me right now that Sochan had a worse game this season. I don't think you can. This was the worst game of the season. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to. You want me to tell you that this was Sochan's worst game this season? Offensively, maybe. Maybe offensively. I don't know. His defense was good. Okay, can you guys tell me that Sochan played bad defense? Go ahead and tell me that. When I think a bad game, when I think a genuine bad game, I think you were just trash defensively. You didn't contribute in any shape of the imagination. It was just overall bad. I don't even think Wemby, even me criticizing Wemby, I don't think Wemby had like a bad game. Offense was bad. I didn't say that. I said, did Sochan play bad defense? Was Sochan bad defensively? If you say that, you're completely wrong. I already said offensively it wasn't the best. But you can't. Sochan, you'll never really be able to just lean on Sochan offensively. Did Sochan have a bad game defensively? Sochan did a fine job on Ant. A fine job. Anthony Edwards was 6'20". I'm just saying, like you guys want to sit here and be like, "Oh, Clan, how can you say Sochan had a good game when he shot 2 for 8?" It's like, yeah, I could easily say that. The last shot of the game was really ugly. I thought that was really dumb. I don't know what our offense was doing there. 2 for 7 before that, and that's still not good. I haven't seen one person in the chat tell me that he played poorly defensively. If he had a great game defensively, then how did you have a bad game? Plan, if we didn't have Sochan, then Anthony Edwards would have gone off and scored much more. We would have lost by much more. Exactly. No one's telling me Sochan had a bad, because no one can say that with a straight face. You can't actually type into the chat Sochan had a bad game defensively unless you're trolling. Played good defense and still had a bad game. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what I don't know what to tell you. So Sochan, out of all the players, of all the main players, the main pieces to this puzzle, he shot the least amount of times. I don't know. Harrison Barnes shot 9 times. Wemby shot 30. Devin Vassell shot 14. Yeah, Keldon shot 11. I don't know. I don't know what you want from me. Cohan blew the game. All right, guys. Okay, it's right after the game. People are emotional about it. It's cool. All right, should we move on? I had to focus on that because I saw a lot of people in the chat early on say like Sochan had a terrible game. He was absolutely trash. And I was like, no, he played well defensively. Like really well defensively. And offensively, I'm not leaning on Jeremy Sochan to save the day. I never am. When he has great offensive performances, just it's icing on the cake really for me. I don't expect him to be that in his career. It was a close loss. All right, anyways, so I'm expecting plenty of hate on that when this video is uploaded, but it just is what it is. I thought Sochan did well, and we are not going to say he played poorly when he was doing so much defensively. It was a lot they put on him defensively, and people are like, well, he played 37 minutes. Defensively, that's all we had. They had him as the backup center for Wemby. We had him on Anthony Edwards. We had him switching all over the place. I mean, he had to do a lot. It was a lot. And even with the amount of different lineups and matchups that were out there, so he had a -4 plus minus with all the different players he was playing with on the court. Anyways, Harrison Barnes was great. I just hate the fact that we had to lean on him so heavy offensively. Let's see. Victor Wembanyama, I already mentioned Vic, that I just thought he had lack of effort at times, but going into the second half, he was locked in. And then it kind of ended with way too many threes. And yeah, hold on. Actually, we go to play by play. We could probably see how many threes he actually took. Let's see. 5. Let's see here. Let's see. So we'll go into crunch time. We'll go under 5 minutes. All right. So he missed a long 2-point shot. All right. So 3 minutes 57 time on the clock. He missed a 27-foot 3-point jumper. And then 3 minutes and 12 seconds, another 25-foot 3-point jumper, pull-up 3-point jumper that he missed. And then he made a 21-foot pull-up jump shot, which was nice. But then he missed a 24-foot 3-point jumper. And then he took, with a minute left, a 28-foot 3-point jumper. It was insane. And that kind of lost us the game, in my opinion. Then he missed a free throw. It was just bad shot selection, I think. And with him being our best player on the court, he got to do better. I'm pretty sure even later on when we look at the press conference, he'll say he got to do better. We'll see what he has to say. Doesn't mean he's trash. Doesn't mean he's garbage. It's just his tendency that's becoming a little worrisome, especially against a team like the Timberwolves, right? You're not going to just get away with that. You need to be very smart in every possession down the stretch. Their defense is just too good. You can't settle for like crazy 3-pointers. Not like he was super hot in this game either, Lance, Sochan is solid and consistent. We need better outside shooting. We need another big that can provide defense and offense so the teams don't go off on us when Wemby is resting. Yeah, Sochan is solid. He's solid. He is consistent. I mean, it's fine. But the amount of defense that I saw from Sochan tonight, I can't say with a good conscience he had a bad game. In the second half for Wemby, for a big chunk of it, I can't say with a straight face, Wemby had a bad game. Chris Paul went 0 for 6. I watched the game. He did not have a bad game. He was doing everything he possibly could. Him and Harrison Barnes were the MVPs of this game, as much they were trying to do. By the way, Devin Vassell, pretty decent shooting performance. So that's good. That's something that we should be feel pretty good about, because we were a little worried about him. But he had a pretty good shooting performance. So that's good. Had a really clutch shot as well, too. I'm glad Vassell had a better game. Yeah. He was way better in this one. They didn't really have anybody that could answer for him. Okay, so Zach Collins barely played, so we won't focus on that. Julian Champagnie, his defense over the course of the last few games has been kind of strange. I know he has a block and a steal here in 11 minutes, which is great. But watching the game, his on-ball defense has been pretty wavery, right? Been pretty Wizards of Waverly Place, you know what I mean? Been strange. All right. And then Keldon, yeah, ooh. I'm about to be mean. I won't be mean. Take this too. Oh yeah, Clan, the only thing worse than the Sochan take is you wore a bonnet take. I'm gonna have to unsubscribe. Just kidding. Yeah, that was so stupid. So silly. So silly. All right, moving on. Let's see here. So yeah, Keldon. Keldon was awful. Keldon was absolutely awful. I'm sorry, guys. He was absolutely awful. It was terrible. I don't know what to tell you. You want to talk about bad games? That was a bad game. I'm glad that they didn't leave him in with the last 5 minutes left. That actually did make me angry. There were many times that I was angry. There were so many times that he left, and they knew. The sad part about it is, if you watched all the times Keldon left his matchup open, the Wolves knew they were going to be open. Like, they knew he was going to bite. They knew he was going to close it way too much. I'm not using the right terminology there. They knew that he was going to overhelp. That's what I was trying to say. It was ridiculous. They passed before he even brought the help. They knew he was going to bring the help. Overcompensating. It was really bad. Defensively, it was really bad. Offensively, it's just kind of the same old story. First half, he goes right into your chest. He gets some shots there, but then he continues to do it the entire game. And when the opposing team reacts to it, adjusts to it, it looks terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I think within those 5 minutes at the end, was it 6 minutes left on the clock? I don't quite recall. They blocked him, and it really irritated me because it was like, dude, this is crunch time. You can't keep doing the same thing. There was one play that he got to the line, and thank God they gave him some free throws, but he ended up leaving Trey Jones wide open in the corner. That would have been a really nice, possibly easy 3-pointer. Let's see. Missed. I think it was 5 minutes left. Anthony Edwards blocks. 6 minutes. Okay, I said 6 minutes before. It was 6 minutes, 54 seconds left. Yeah, and then they took him out of the game with 4 minutes and 44 seconds left, which I thought that the team that we closed out the game with was totally fine. I wish we wouldn't give up on. That might be too harsh of a thing to say, but I wish we wouldn't give up on Castle. It seems like we're seeing less and less Castle, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I think Castle needs more minutes. He's one of those players that I think, the more you put him out there, the better he'll get as the game goes on. But, I understand. 8 minutes, 4 turnovers. He's like, yeah, look, we're not gonna put you out there. I do hate that we're not seeing him. Give him his time to learn. Yeah. I think it's his demeanor. It's just how he approached the game. I think the longer the game goes on, the better he'll get. And right now he's completely out of rhythm, getting taken out of the starting lineup. His minutes are all over the place. I don't want him to be thrown in the same category that we're throwing in, Malachi right now, that you barely see him. Or, Charles Bassey, where you barely see him. I don't like that. Bro, it's ridiculous. I think they're really not giving him time. They don't want him to win Rookie of the Year. It's just strange. But I get it. I mean, right here, this isn't the coach's fault that you play 8 minutes and give us 4 turnovers. It's not the coach's fault. Sochan gave us 3 turnovers in 37 minutes of play, and you gave us 4 in 8 minutes. Spurs don't have enough floor spacers to get the good version of Castle. Oh no. I think a big chunk of it is Castle just kind of screwing up. It seems like this might be crazy to say. If I'm out of pocket on this, then it's fine. Like, you guys can correct me, or you think that it's not the case. But I think that even though he is strong for his age, I think he needs a little bit more strength. He loses the ball on drives quite often. Like, he wants to get physical, but he'll just lose the ball. I think that might have something to do with strength. He can't hold on to it. If we played Castle for more minutes, it would mean we prefer development rather than playoffs. That's a good point too. Muhammad has a good point there in the chat, because the Spurs are definitely going for the playoffs. They are shooting for the playoffs. If this was last year, I don't think that we even think about it, right? Like, yeah, you're going to shoot for it somewhat, but you're going to give Castle all the minutes in the world. I guess I'm thinking of it from a developmental standpoint, or maybe just a fan standpoint that I just want to see him. But I mean, we can't say that 8 minutes, like every 2 minutes, giving us a turnover, you should be playing in that game. Plan, can you please tell these Keldon followers and Sochan haters that Sochan is top 3 player on the team? Spurs will keep Sochan and trade Keldon for better help. Keldon needs to go. I'll say this. Yes, Sochan is one of the best players on the team. I think he's our second best defender on the team, right? The amount of situations that the Spurs can place him in is absolutely crazy. And when we actually have genuine talent, offensive talent, uh, everyone is unanimously going to love Sochan. It's just that it's just unfortunate because the type of player he is, he's going to have games like this where he only gives you 5 points. But if you're not paying attention, you would have thought that he had a bad game. You'll see this and say, "Oh my God, he was trash." But if you watch the game, he was doing everything defensively, which was insane, insane what they had him doing. He was on everybody, and he brought a certain level of intensity that not the entire team was showing, throughout the game. And then when it comes to Keldon, I'm not going to sit here and just be like, Keldon needs to be traded. He's absolutely garbage. I think it can work. It's just the tendencies, man, is just really bad. Even in this game in particular, he was just letting the ball fly. He was just letting it fly. There was no hesitation, no thought on maybe I should pass this ball up. I honestly wish Devin Vassell had like 50% of Keldon's aggression. aggression. There was one play in particular that I thought Devin Vassell shouldn't have passed up. He passed up a shot, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, you had a wide open layup, man!" But you're so selfless that why do I not remember him shooting 5 threes? I don't know. Yeah, that was often, man. He was letting it fly as soon as they gave it to him, whether he was open or not. He was just letting it fly. He just has too much tunnel vision. But when Keldon like takes a back seat and just playing a role, I think it's fine. But he was one of the players in this game that I thought got too many minutes. I know 17 is like, how is that too many minutes? But it was bad, man. I'll try my best, guys. Like honestly, let me be real with you. And anybody seeing this on YouTube is way too late. You've given up on me already throughout this. You probably already turned the video off. But I'll say this at least to the chat. I'm gonna try my absolute best to be more charitable to Keldon. I'm really gonna try. I really am. Just this game in particular. Well, there's a lot of games, but this game, it was. I was paying attention to our defense because because I really focused in on that when the Timberwolves were just kind of getting whatever they wanted, and it felt as if they just controlled the entire pace of the game. And defensively, not to say Keldon was the only one, but it was really bad. Say you better try to be charitable. I'm trying. I'm gonna try harder. I'm gonna try harder. Anything that I see that I think is really good, I'll try harder. It's just at this point, when he had those, shots in the paint in the first half, it was I just knew that by the end of the game, if he keeps trying that, it's just not gonna work. All good, Clan. Appreciate you keeping it real. Thanks, Tyler. I try to be honest. I know people think that like I hate Keldon. I don't. I don't. I think that's what makes me like so irritated too. It's because I do like him. If it was DJ, man, I'd probably be calling for a trade. The tricky thing with DJ was like at that time, even when I didn't really like him, um, uh, he did have some pretty good performances, right? Clan Keldon shooting 44% from the field and 26% from three. Is that for the season? You sure? It can't be that bad. Huh. He's literally having his worst season of his career. I just don't think he fits with the team that well, man. And like I said, um, I wouldn't be this critical about his offense. Like I could just say, oh, okay, he's talented offensively. It'll come together by the end of the season. These numbers should improve. Even if I said that, the defense has been so bad. I really want you guys, and someone, I think somebody last live stream was like, maybe somebody tweeted this out to me, and they were like, "Oh, Clan, every time you mention this, I forget to pay attention." Next game, just key in on Keldon Johnson defensively. Look at his team defense. It's that bad. It's that bad, guys. It really is. His man-to-man defense isn't the worst. Like, his man-to-man defense is okay. But just pay attention. It is that bad. Oh, no. Keldon, picks, and Sochan for Zion. It looks like you're saying trade me, Keldon, picks, and Sochan for Zion. No. Zion, I don't even know if I trust that he'll be able to play, No. I don't even know if I would go as far as say Keldon and picks. I don't really want Zion at all, to be honest. If that's the case, I'd rather keep Keldon. At least Keldon plays. No to Zion, yeah. Zion healthy is a good scorer. Zion healthy is an absolute monster, one of the best players in the NBA. It's just I don't know if I trust that he'll remain healthy. But then again, the Pelicans are not the best franchise when it comes to conditioning, so there's that. Is there anything else to say about this game? I thought that they played harder than us. I was really let down by Wemby because I think that we really needed some more intensity from him, a little bit more nasty. But in the second half, he came in pretty strong, right? So I can't deny that. So I was happy about that. And I just think overall we just lost to a better team. We lost to a better team. I'm gonna end this one here. Let's end this segment. Yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna hate this one. Sochan did not have a bad game. All right. Offensively wasn't the best, but defensively, I can't say with a straight face that they didn't have him literally doing everything.